This is a special place. A place where, for the past 75 years, something wonderful and valuable has happened. Here, at Aiken Preparatory School, young people are encouraged to give their best effort in all things, to grow intellectually and personally, to strive towards excellence as human beings. The essence of Aiken Prep, encouraging young people to think and to learn, to meet life's challenges, is more than classes, sports, and discipline, in a very real sense, unless you've been here, unless you've had the opportunity to take advantage of what this special place has to offer. The only way you can understand Aiken Prep is through its alumni.
This is the 75th year of Aiken Prep School, and we need to try to make this as special as possible. We need to all brainstorm and come up with a lot of new ideas for our annual. Anybody have any suggestions?
We could write some of the alumni and get ideas from them and stuff, and reactions about how they liked the school, what they liked about it and what they didn't like.
That's good. You know what we have? I have a letter here from August Heckscher. He was a graduate of this school. He graduated from Aiken Prep in 1927, and he wrote a real interesting story, recollections of his time here when he was a student, and I'd like to read to you.
The Aiken Preparatory School was in a golden period when I first arrived there. A boy just turned 11. It had established its reputation as a first-class educational institution, with most of its graduates entering without difficulty into the New England boarding schools, particularly into St. Paul's at Concord. It was supported by a community of winter residents, wealthy, distinguished in the social and sporting world, enjoying a simple life where the horse and buggy was the usual means, when it was not a Model T Ford, of getting around. At the school, a handful of unusual masters were as proficient at drilling the facts of history and the classics into the heads of their pupils as they were at instructing them in hard play on the athletic field. Sports took two forms which now appear to me strange. We bastardized polo by playing it upon bicycles, and hockey by playing it, instead of on ice with a swift-flying puck, with a ball on the dusty clay field. I was never an expert at either of these games. There was also, of course, riding. The school was already famous for its hunters and polo players, and the Hitchcock Woods, with their pines and their sand river, were a cool refuge under the hottest sun. Mrs. Thomas Hitchcock was still living, an indomitable figure in her 80s, leading the drag hunts with loud halloos. To get away for the afternoon from the school grounds, to experience the excitements of the polo field or the chase, to find oneself at peace with a beloved mount, was to be at the pinnacle of life. The rides were supplemented by picnics in the woods and by the annual horse show, an all-day event where the bestowal of a blue or even a white ribbon seemed almost equivalent to being knighted. Field day also occurred annually, with the school grounds transformed by elaborate preparations, lanes bordered by flags, stands set up for spectators, of the kind Mr. Tabor, the impresario extraordinaire, loved to oversee. Beside the traditional races and contests among the boys, a race for mothers was held. Invariably winning this event, my mother made up for whatever disappointments my own performance might have brought me during the day. Mr. Tabor also greatly enjoyed staging the school plays. One spectacular production of Pinafore filled the swimming pool with the prow of a ship, from whose deck the polo player Pete Bostwick sang in the role of Patience.
This school that began in 1916 became one of the best, if not the best, junior boys boarding schools in the country. They're absolutely outstanding. And what made them outstanding wasn't just their academic work. It did enable boys to go on to St. Paul's, or the finest of the boarding schools in the Northeast, but the effect it had on those young men as people. And that's what causes them to relate to this school even today. They come back and they remember it as home. The people who taught here loved them, and it showed. They had high expectations. and the boys reached for those expectations. And that tradition is one that we embody. In fact, it's an honor to be a part of such an institution.
Many years ago, in 1921, in fact, my family moved to Aiken, and my brother John and I came to this school, where we each stayed for 4 years before going on to St. Paul's School. At the time we arrived, the school was no more than about 12 or 14 pupils total in all the grades. By the time we left, I think the school had gotten up to probably 30 or 40 pupils. I was very happy many years later to have my 3 sons attend the school, Hugo, Duncan, and Alan. And in fact, 2 of them now have children who are going to be graduates. One of them, Francesca, is going to be a graduate in the year 2001.
I think one of the things that really distinguishes Aiken Prep is the fact that it is a caring school. Nobody would want to work here unless he really loved to be associated so very closely with children. And we have the opportunity not only to be with them in the classroom, but also in a variety of other environments. So we get to know the children in many, many different situations. When our successful alumni come back and tell us, you know, we never appreciated what you were trying to do for us while we were here, but on reflection, we do know that you were doing your very best for us. When we look at these young men and they come back to school, that's when it's really rewarding, and they say, thank you very much for what you've done.
Great tradition of the people. If you look at the names that are on the walls in here, you're talking about people that I knew when I was here as friends of my parents. And there's a group of 20, 25 Aiken Prep School alumni that were in my father's generation. You skip 15 or 20 years not knowing those people in between, and then you come to my generation and my brothers.
We're repeating that cycle now. Our children and their nieces and nephews and cousins are all coming to Aiken Prep. It's a very good tradition.
So we'll have another generation of Rutherfords, and then we'll have to wait a long, long time before we get any more Rutherfords here, but I'll bet there'll be some.
There are 2 things we ask as students, and we're dead serious about it. Number 1 is, we expect you to work hard. That is, to learn to give your best. Don't worry about the results, but learn about being able to face life and say, I gave it what I could give it. You have no apologies after that, and you usually, as you know, succeed. You're going to succeed much more than you fail. But you also have to have an atmosphere that says, Charlie, give it a good go. It's all right. We're not going to condemn you if you don't succeed. We're going to help you get up and go at it again. The second thing is maybe even more important than that. And that is, we expect them to try to be a decent human being. That's no simple matter, but this world doesn't need any more people who are not decent human beings. So to be an outstanding doctor or lawyer or engineer is one thing, but what kind of person it is even more important. Are they going to add something to this world by their having lived or not? Those questions are raised and supported with the students, not dictated. You have to sort out those things for yourself. Because the ultimate, really, in life is the question of, who am I? Who am I, really? Not who my teacher thinks I ought to be, or my mother, but who am I, really? And what am I doing here? What's the point of this? We help them come to grips with those decisions. We help them grow.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, and Z, U, V. Now I said my ABC. Next time, won't you say it with me?
Good girl. That's a good girl.